There's a new temporary government in charge of Ukraine at this hour. President Viktor Yanukovych is on the run. This is exactly what the protesters and opposition had wanted. But the country is still in a perilous position. It's on the brink of economic collapse. For more now on how people are reacting to all of these major developments, let's check in with Maidan Interview. He's a Canadian who's been living in Kiev for more than 20 years, and Maidan joins me now. First of all, Maidan, what's your reaction to everything that's happened in the last, 48 hours? Let's pick that time frame.
Well, I could say something to think about the past 20 years that's been building up for a long time. You said it earlier, it's a perilous situation. It's not certain what will happen tomorrow, and most people feel very nervous about the situation.
What are they most nervous about?
Well, it's uncertain what will happen. I mean, in the past 48 hours, you've seen a dramatic turn of events, from violence on the streets, snipers shooting at people, totally unexpected, and no one ever would have thought that could happen in a European country. But since then, you've seen dramatic events in the parliament, you've seen the president on the run, you've seen a lot of politicians change sides. You see a lot of mistrust from the Maidan, people that have been on the street for a long time who basically don't trust any politicians, none of the politicians that have been in power for a long time. And they feel probably it's time for, new blood, new people to come to prove themselves, younger people, people that don't have what you could say is a kind of a Soviet background. And that's why people are uncertain about what to expect tomorrow. Besides, you have different points of view. You have those that were very interested in becoming part of Europe, and you have those that are less interested in becoming part of Europe. But I think it's very consistent to say that everybody wants to live better. They believe that there's a tremendous potential in Ukraine. They believe that it's an unrealized potential, and everybody knows that. But they've not been able to turn the corner over the past 20 years.
Yeah. What do you think was the turning point? You took part in those protests. What do you think was the turning point when it turned in the opposition and the protesters' favor?
Well, the turning point was a speech given by a young person on the Maidan who said, we don't accept any deals with the Yanukovych regime, and that basically we want him to be out of office by 10 o'clock the next day. Whether they meant it or not, it was enough to get things going. And you can see the series of events that happened since then. Going
forward, what do you think? I mean, do you think that the protesters trust the opposition? Do you think that there is somebody in opposition now who represents those ideals that you just spoke about? Somebody who can go forward and bring Ukraine into balance, whether that's with Russia and the United and the EU together. Somebody who can represent Ukraine as an independent country with a rule of law and a functioning democracy, and the economy working well?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's a precedent anywhere in history of Ukraine at this time. First of all, you have what I would call an information revolution, where you have streamers on the street, you have internet, you have all kinds of internet television stations, which make information readily available anywhere in the country, which I think is totally unprecedented. And you have it recorded every step of the way, every minute of the day, every minute that the protests are taking place on the barricades, you have it all recorded. And I think that's extremely dramatic. Now, when it comes time to see, well, who's responsible for all this, the documentation should all be there. The people that signed the orders, who's responsible? It should all be there. It should be all evident. And for example, people freely now go to Mezhehiria, which is the president's estate, and see, the kind of life that he was leading, where hundreds of millions of dollars were spent in this residence. And I'm sure they're outraged from the east to the west, the south to the north.
One of the things that I noted from Susan Ormiston, our reporter on the ground, she said, sometimes in countries where there's been such mass corruption, people will loot the buildings, they'll attack the buildings. But she said in Ukraine, people very respectfully walked through and looked at, you know, the presidential palace. I don't know if you call it the palace, the presidential building, if you will, to see exactly what you were describing, but that the mood was not one of wanting to destroy it as a replica of the past. It was one of curiosity.
I agree. Most people do not want to see, you know, destruction or violence. Most people, you know, very, very large majority. And even if you look at the people standing on the Maidan, they are average people. They're from all over the country. And you see women and children, and you see all kinds of people that, that want to come and want to see change. So it's not terrorists, it's not revolutionaries. It's people that are sick and tired of the way things have happened in the last 20 years, and they would like to see some changes. They'd like to see, you know, the values that are valued in Europe, they would like to see some of them come here and pretty quick.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there with you for now. Maidan Interview, Canadian living in Ukraine for the past 20 years. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Just like